Okay, so now from the question, we're expected to draw a conventional representation of an external left-hand square screw thread. Now the square screw thread is expected to have a length of 120 mm, pitch of 20 mm, and then the diameter of 80 mm. So now we already have the length. The length is 120 mm. So now we can have this with as our vertical line, and that should be 120 mm. So from here to here, that's 120 mm. So the horizontal line is going to be perpendicular to it, and that's going to have a diameter of 80 mm. So we can draw another perpendicular here. So now we can measure 80 mm here. So 80 mm is the diameter. So we have 80 mm here. We also have 80 mm here as well. And then you join. So now we have also been given the pitch as 20 mm. So now half of 20 is 10. So we are now going to have P over 2. So that is 20 over 2. So 20 over 2 is 10. So we have 10 here. 20 over 2 is 10. We also have 10 here. So that is from here to here is 10. From here to here is 10. So the same thing applies here. You have from here to here, you have 10 here. And then from here to here, you also have 10. So you now join. You join using your thin continuous line. You also join using your thin continuous line. Okay, so from here as well, you measure 10 in using 4 divisions. Let's say, okay, from here to here, you have 10 here. You also have 10 here. You have 10 here. You have 10 here. So you can label it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the same thing here. You also have 10, 10, 10, and then 10 here. So the same thing here as well. You have 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, and then 10 here. So the same thing here. You have 10, 10, 10, and then 10 here. Okay, since it's a left-hand square thread, you are going to have a rise from the bottom right to the top left. So for instance now, starting from, okay, you can label here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So starting from point 0, you draw a line to point 1. So the same thing, from point 1 as well, you draw a line to point 2. From point 2, you draw a line to point 3. From point 3, you draw a line to point 4. So you can also label this place 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you do here, you also do here. So starting from point 0, from point 0 to point 1, then from point 1 to point 2, from point 2 to point 3, and then from point 3 to point 4. So now these are the parts of these lines that you are going to make thick. So this line 0 to 1 is going to be very thick. Line 1 to 2 as well is going to be very thick. Then you jump this particular edge. Then you now come to line 2 to 3. 2 to 3 is also going to be thick. 3 to 4 is going to be thick. So the same thing here. Your 0 to 1 is also thick, followed by 1 to 2, which is thick, followed by 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4. So you also need to take note of the midpoint. So now the midpoint here is going to be 4. Don't forget the diameter is 8. So the midpoint here as well is also going to be 4. So you take note of the midpoint, and then use your center line. Use your center line to join. So that is it, using your center line. So now you need to thicken this line as well. You thicken lines 1 to 2 here, 3 to 4. So the same thing, 1 to 2, and then 3 to 4. So you come down here as well, and then you thicken lines. You thicken lines 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 0 to 1, 2 to 3. Now after you've done this, you take your ruler, you join points, you connect point 1 to point 2. So you know this shape is just like a rectangle. This shape is also like a rectangle. So you take the bottom of this lower rectangle, you connect it with the bottom of the upper rectangle. So that's it. So after connecting with your ruler, you're now going to take your pencil and you draw a line. That is just it. So the line is not going to exceed this line here. So the same thing you're going to do here. You connect point 1 to 2 with your ruler, but you only draw a line here. So that's considering just the bottom part of the rectangles. So now you can also consider the upper part of the rectangle. So that's going to be from point 2, upper part of this, to upper part of this. So from point 2 to point 3. So once you connect point 2 to point 3 with your ruler, you only draw your straight line here. So it's not going to exceed this line here. So the same thing here, you bring it from point 2 to point 3 here, and then you have your straight line here. Alright, so now take note of this midpoint. Take note of this midpoint here, the midpoint here, the midpoint here, and then the midpoint here. So now from each of those midpoints, for instance, from this midpoint here, you draw a thick continuous line downward. So the same thing from here, from the midpoint here, you draw a thick continuous line downward. So that's for this side. You now come to this other side. From the midpoint here, you draw a thick line here. From the midpoint here, you draw a thick line here. Now from that same midpoint, in this place, you draw a line that meets the middle of this line, like this. So the same thing the other way around. From this same midpoint here, you now draw this line that meets the center. So what you do here, you also you do it here. So from this midpoint, you draw a line that locates the center here. From this midpoint here, you draw a line that locates the center as well. So now, don't forget, you are expected to also have such a midpoint here. So from that midpoint, you join to the center here. So the same thing applies here. You're also going to have such a midpoint here. So from that midpoint, you join to this center here. You join to this center here. So now, this is also going to be thick. It's going to be a thick line. You're also going to have a thick line here. A thick line here. And then here, you'd also have a thick line. And then a thick line on the horizontal. You indicate your phantom lines here. Your phantom line. So this is your phantom line. Don't forget there's a difference between phantom lines and center lines. So this is your phantom lines. Your phantom lines is because this is just a conventional representation of your trade. You wouldn't need to draw all the threads as located on the thread itself or on the workpiece. So you just need to show a representation. So you have only shown 2 thread up and then 2 thread downward. So these phantom lines to tell you that you're actually supposed to have threads here as well. So but we've decided not to show all the threads there. So now this is your phantom line, and this is your center line, and this is your external left hand square screw thread. So after this, you now indicate all the given dimensions. Don't forget this is your 80. Well, this is your 120 mm, that's the length. And then your P over 2, your P is 20. So each of this is 10. That is, from 0 to 1 is 10, 1 to 2 is 10, 2 to 3 is 10, 3 to 4 is 10. Don't forget, from this point to this place is also 10. So it means that from here to here is also P over 2. So the same thing applies here. This is also P over 2.